What is up, guys? Taiki here, and for this week's version of Farmers of the Week, I wanted to get an expert on the Cosmos ecosystem, and who better to get on than Cryptocito? He has my favorite, personally, my favorite channel when it comes to the Cosmos ecosystem. All he talks about is Cosmos. He is the face of Cosmos. He even organizes events and whatnot. So, Cryptocito, how are you doing today? Yeah, how are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for the warm welcome and the kind words. It's good, man. Yeah, I mean, Cosmos in the past couple of weeks has gained some momentum. Obviously, coin prices going up is always makes people in crypto happy in general. So, yeah, that's no different in Cosmos. And yeah, I'm glad to be here and talk with you about Cosmos.
Yeah, I know people see prices go up and they're suddenly interested in crypto. How funny how that works. But anyways, do you want to first give us your background? How did you join crypto and how did you join the Cosmos ecosystem? How did you get here? And why are you bullish Cosmos?
Yeah, I discovered Cosmos in late 2020, just randomly because I had some Atom in my wallet and I never knew why I bought them and what they do. So I made a tweet and Jack Sempolin, who is one of the core engineers, responded and he kind of offered to walk me through what Cosmos and IBC and the Internet of Blockchain is at that time, right? This was before IBC even went live. And he said one thing that really got me hooked, which was that with the launch of IBC, the original Cosmos white paper is essentially shipped. And when I heard it, I was like, this is not like crypto is just fairy tales, visions that will never be reached, right? So this was something that got me intrigued. And then, I went down the rabbit hole. And obviously, as I started also, when I met Jack, I think I was already doing like YouTube for 7, 8 months. But when I then got into Cosmos and, IBC went live, Osmosis launched, Juno launched, Stargaze launched, all these chains went live, I just interviewed all these founders and builders. So my channel became kind of like a public learning platform for myself. And then with that also for my audience, and it kind of grew an audience. And yeah, helped a lot of cosmonauts to learn about the specifics and the flavors in Cosmos. But before I got into Cosmos, I was already in crypto for 3 or 4 years. Late or early 2017, I got into it. And yeah, I think I'm just fundamentally committed to the industry, to the space, to the technology. Even though I don't have a technological background, so I think for me it's extra hard to understand what is actually, different layers and modularity, data availability. Like for me to really understand this is super hard because I don't have a technical background. So yeah, but that's really what I do, just public learning and sharing strategies, specifically around airdrops, which we're going to be talking about today a lot, because there's a lot that's going on in Cosmos. So yeah, that's the TLDR.
Yeah, I remember last cycle, which is 2020, 2021, we had Atom stakers receive all these airdrops, and we'll talk about airdrops later. But selfishly, I've been diving deeper into the Cosmos ecosystem recently, and I do have some questions like on a fundamental basis. I know you have a Google Doc or some document that, feel free to share right now. But I feel like one problem within the Cosmos ecosystem that I observe is that there's too many chains, right? Like, and there's no Schelling point for like a token that the community can rally around. Do people rally around Atom? Do Tia, OSMO? What's your view on, I guess, like the politics around the Cosmos ecosystem right now, and how does it get better?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in most ecosystems, you have this fat protocol thesis, right? Where you have one base layer that accrues and absorbs all of the value that kind of aligns the community, the developers, and everything, right? On Ethereum, it's ETH, and Solana, it's Sol. On Avalanche, it's AVAX, right? All subnets on Avalanche accrue value to AVAX. And Cosmos is fundamentally different. And in fact, it's something that people have oftentimes criticized, but it's always been an intention design decision from the beginning to not pack IBC adoption or growth to a chain, right? So the common ground and the whole Schelling point in Cosmos is in fact IBC, but IBC is not something you can buy. It's not something you can invest in, right? It doesn't have a token. It doesn't have a chain. It's agnostic, right? It resides on Atom as much as it resides on I don't know, on Osmosis and Stargaze and Juno and all other chains, right? So it's really this is the common ground. But what you see now, especially post Terra collapse, you saw a lot of drama in Cosmos, which you always see. You see a lot of teams coming out or joining Cosmos, but not necessarily bragging about it, right? So DYDX, for example, when they migrated to launch their Cosmos chain, they were not going out there like, we're a Cosmos now, we're part of the fam. To a degree they did, like small degree, but I don't think that's something that, most projects nowadays are like using as a PR or kind of marketing gig, right? So I think Cosmos, and that's really also the power of Cosmos, and at the same time, because Cosmos is really an ecosystem of sovereign and interoperable chains. And I think the sovereignty aspect really is what makes it so powerful and so resilient. So to answer your question, there isn't really one common ground and token that aligns everything. There isn't really that Schelling point. It's rather IBC, which you can't buy. But Atom still today is kind of this voluntary Schelling point. And I think now the community also wants to shape it more into a form of interchain money or interchain capital, which would make Atom kind of this predominant liquidity gate and asset across all IBC chains, or most of them. And also Atom, I think, historically has always been a great asset to hold and stake, to bootstrap, and obviously also get airdrops for other chains, right? Osmosis, Juno, more recently TIA. All these coins have been dropped to Atom stakers. So I think Atom would probably be the closest. But like I said, now you have this new generation of coins like Celestia itself that originated out of Atom, but it is now having its own ecosystem, right? And is actually, by fully diluted market cap, bigger than Atom, I think 3 times bigger. Injective just flipped Atom recently, right? So you have this this ecosystem growth of sovereign ecosystems. And yeah, Atom, I think, is a voluntary Schelling point, but not really a dependency and for the rest of the IBC gang. So it's a hard question to answer like straightforward, but I think that's also the design intention of Cosmos, to not have one Schelling point on which everything depends on.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. I feel like another problem that I've observed in the Cosmos ecosystem, aside from just having too many chains and like not knowing which one is which, is fragmented liquidity. So I personally try to bridge to Cosmos using the Gravity Bridge, and the experience is okay. And there's different places where liquidity lies. First of all, like there's Osmosis. I think Osmosis has 200 million in TVL, something along those lines, and also Astroport. I think they have 50 to 100 million dollars in TVL. And I think one issue that Cosmos has is that it's very difficult to get liquidity from Ethereum to migrate to Cosmos because of all these, loops you have to jump through and whatnot. I think Neutron, the chain, is trying to bring wrapped stake deed from Ethereum mainnet to Cosmos. And I think the Neutron team formerly worked with Lido, or like was part of Lido. Like, how do you think liquidity gets to the Cosmos ecosystem? Because ultimately, like that's what's needed to, I guess, bring more users, right?
Yeah, so what happened in the bear market, and more recently, like in the past 5 months, is that we had the launches of native USDC, Circle USDC, as well as native USDT from Tether. USDC launched on Noble, so they actually built their own chain for that, a native asset issuance chain. That chain is already live. There's $53 million worth of USDC right now on Noble. I think it just surpassed Optimism with that number. And on KAVA, which is the home of native USDT, I think you have over $160 million. So now you have these 2 native stablecoins in Cosmos, which I think is a big, liquidity gateway. I know the Osmosis team has been working very hard to get, assets like Ethereum and also Bitcoin into Osmosis in different forms, right? I think Bitcoin is launching their Red BTC on Osmosis directly, and Nomic is a team that brings native BTC to Osmosis as well. So this is kind of rolling out right now. And yeah, then you have the Accelerators of the world. I think you also have now this next generation of user experience in Cosmos with IBC.fun or Squid router, which is also powered by Axelar technology. Because I agree, I think one of the bigger bottlenecks of this whole app chain thesis, which means you have all these different L1s, and then kind of IBC in between, is that mostly for now, the whole IBC magic was manually done by the user. But I think in the future, it should be all pushed in the background so that you don't really care, or you don't even need to care which chain are you on, where's the liquidity, right? It needs to through, and that's actually what IBC can do, as far as I understand, is that IBC can tap into all of that in the background, right? And then just with a few clicks, a user can just do transactions on any chain, anytime, hopefully also soon outside of Cosmos native chains, which means IBC going to Ethereum, going to Solana, going to Avalanche, so that you can also tap in directly into liquidity from there. But yeah, this is work in progress, and I think the whole UX around it also needs to improve. But like I said, I think this is all happening as we speak.
Got it. And I know our viewers, they care more about airdrops and whatnot, but like I mentioned, I'm just curious. I want to hear from the Cosmos expert here. And one of the reasons I've started to look more into the Cosmos ecosystem is because recently we've seen a surge in the price of Solana. It's currently close to $100. And I think what that does to the collective market is it forces participants to become more open-minded. Because I think in the bear market, and I'm guilty of this, but I thought that Ethereum would just be the chain, and there's gonna be liquidity modes and all the most of these alt L1s, they might fade into irrelevance. But Solana, it's back. And my first thought was, well, Solana did well because everyone thought it was dead, but it's not dead. And then my mind went to, well, Cosmos, we have all these amazing teams building there. It's not dead. There's Akash, Osmosis, all these chains, Celestia is a big one. And I think the Cosmos ecosystem has a lot of potential for a renaissance in 2024. And for that reason, I think the tokens there could be worth airdrop farming. So that's kind of where I want to pivot the conversation into. And we had Celestia, which was a huge airdrop. I was a little bit salty because I was eligible, but I couldn't claim it because I'm geo-blocked. And then it's just pumped 6x, and I was like, oh my God. And then I literally just bought recently because I was like, okay, I have to just gain exposure to this ecosystem. Do you mind sharing the doc that you prepared for us, and just going through,
Yeah.
I guess, the airdrop farming opportunities, I guess certain narratives that you're excited for, certain tokens you're excited for, and just all that jazz.
Yeah. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I think we can maybe start off with, before we get into Celestia, I think that's a big one. But I think, oh, sorry. Yeah, I think maybe we can start with more general stuff and airdrops that might come in the Cosmos ecosystem. I think the first narrative that might be hot for 2024 is the narrative around the Atom Economic Zone. Atom Economic Zone basically means that the Cosmos Hub, which is the chain on which Atom resides, can now do shared security, similar to how the Polkadot Relay chain does it with their parachains. So you have now the creation of this alignment with new chains that rent security from Atom, and some of which also do airdrops, right? Neutron, you mentioned earlier, Astroport primarily deploys there. Neutron launched with an airdrop for Atom stakers, right? And Neutron, like you said, is from the Lido team. I think that's one to keep an eye on. And I also think on top of Neutron, you're going to see a lot of applications, a lot of tokens, a lot of projects that are gonna launch. So I think Neutron is definitely a DeFi platform that could also be serious competition to the Osmosis and the Injectives and the Kujiras out there. Then you have STRD, which is the second already. So Neutron is already live. STRD is also live already as Atom secured chains. And STRD is a liquid staking protocol that has currently around $90 million in TVL. And they have an ongoing airdrop right now. So if you're a farmer and you want airdrops and you've been staking some Atom, you most likely get this STRD airdrop. And I also got fresh new alpha from the team, which is that they are going to add STDYDX next, which means you also get an airdrop for STRD if you hold or stake any DYDX tokens. So that's how they do their airdrop. They really give out an airdrop to every new token or coin that they're adding to their liquid staking protocol. There's already 10 that are live, also Injective and Sommelier and OSMO. So if you had any of these coins, you should head over to, I think it's app.stride.zone. And then there's an airdrops tab where you can claim this. So I think, yeah, this is to maybe to start with. And just to make it complete here, Noble, the chain I mentioned earlier for native USDC, they are third in line to join the Atom Economic Zone. This is not confirmed yet. And they also don't have a token right now. I think they're still considering because they need to figure out economics. I don't think they will launch a token because Circle is involved. There's regulatory issues, right? So I think that's kind of the route they don't want to take. But Noble definitely also want to watch out for, yeah.
Yeah, and when you say Atom Economic Zone, are these consumer chains for Atom? Is
Yeah.
like all three?
Yes.
Okay.
Neutron
And
and Stride are the only ones right now, the first two, and Noble is the third one that might be joining. And
yeah, and just to refresh my, I guess, understanding of consumer chains is instead of Neutron having its own validator set and stakers, it can rent security from the Atom stakers, like the validator set, right? So this can also create more value for Atom because you can stake Atom to secure the Cosmos Atom, right? And then also you can also help secure Neutron, and then Neutron will pay you tokens like NTRN tokens if you stake Atom. Is that okay? Okay, sounds good. So with more consumer chains, more value accrual potentially for Atom. Is that like a good way to think about it?
Yes and no. I mean, right now, Neutron is brand new, Stride is brand new. Neutron shares 25% revenue with Atom stakers, but the volumes are still very low, which means right now it's still negligible. Stride shares 15%, but same story here. So I think there is a revenue accrual mechanism, but it's still super low. But like I said, both of them also did airdrops to the Atom staker community. Neutron did a 7% Genesis airdrop for the Atom community, and the rest of the unclaimed airdrop, they actually sent back to the Cosmos Hub treasury, which is currently worth like $45 million or something like that. So this is kind of the value accrual, but I think moving forward, we need more resilient and sustainable economics, because the way it works is not like in Polkadot. Remember, like in Polkadot, they had this parachain slot auction model where there was literally a bidding process, and that's kind of, like you have literal dollar value for a slot. Here it's more like an on-chain governance process and an actual business plan behind, which is a bit more complex and not as predictable in terms of how does it accrue revenue. But yeah, it just launched, we're going to see how it works. But that's basically how it works. Yeah, so it would technically accrue value for Atom. Just now it's still quite low.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's a potential narrative to keep an eye on. It could be hot next year if there's more consumer chains. Can you scroll down a little just to get to the next topic? I know you have a bunch. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
no,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Oh my God. Okay, this is more in my camp because this is mostly a DeFi channel.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
so
So I
yeah.
think
Okay.
like I explained earlier, I think this native stable coin liquidity injection through USDC and USDT. Plus, we also have a new kind of generation of algorithmic. I know that's like everyone still probably has PTSD from that word, but this decentralized stable coins, over collateralized, there's USK on Kujira, there's IST on Agoric, Silk from Shade Protocol. So you have these different kind of stablecoin experiments and native centralized ones. Plus, you also have battle-tested DeFi platforms, right? And you see, like you said earlier, you saw Solana just reviving, right? And we also have projects in Cosmos, such as Injective, that have been around in the last bull run. KAVA has been around, Osmosis has been around. So you see these OG bear market survivors that already, like Injective has just gone on a crazy run. So I think we're going to see a DeFi summer, number one. Number two, I also think because all of these are in fact layer one blockchains, right? Except for Neutron, which is atom secured. So that's kind of like an L2 in that sense on Atom, but all the rest are L1s, right? So, and if you look at something like Injective, they have their own application environment, right? They have Helix, they have, I forgot the other one, Black Panther or something like it's called. They have Filament coming up, which is a perp stacks. So they have their own ecosystem coming up, and most of these projects will also launch tokens, right? Especially now, if you enter a bull run, everyone loves tokens in a bull run, right? We hate tokens in a bear market. We love tokens in a bull run. So you're going to see a token for everything. And I think Injective might actually be in this category, similar to Kujira. I think KUJI and Injective might be two native coins that are worth to stake and where it's worth to kind of participate, do some trades, maybe LP, use the Kujira liquidation, what's it called, the liquidation engine, use that, just play around with it, because I think there's going to be an airdrop season in those ecosystems. Osmosis, there's constantly airdrops, right? Levana launched on Osmosis. If you used Levana on Osmosis, you got the PYTH airdrop, which was also quite nice. So yeah, I think this is a big category, DeFi. And yeah, I think there's a longer list than that. Those are just notes I took. But there's definitely ecosystems where it makes sense to do some research and see what are the top applications. Do they have tokens yet? Has the team said anything, right? On Injective, there's a couple of teams that already came out and said, yeah, we will do an airdrop, but without eligibility criteria yet.
Yeah.
I think same for Say, that's a newer chain, obviously. But yeah, I think that's a good category.
Just to interrupt, I mean, I know Injective is like the first L1 token to just blast past all-time highs. Do you think that part of it is because there's some of the supply that's just like being staked? Because people expect, hey, if I stake Injective, I'm gonna get tokens, or I'll get airdrop tokens of all these Injective DeFi platforms that launch, and maybe Injective stakers get other airdrops from other ecosystems. Is that kind of like the community's like mindset, I suppose?
I think that's the case now after it did like a 30x.
Yeah, it
But I
was
think the
crazy.
run, yeah, because also you have to think now, like airdrops are only big if the market cap is big, right? And
Yeah.
Injective at a $3 billion market cap is much more interesting for big airdrops than Injective at a $200 million market cap, right? So I think Injective, the run up from $1 to $30 or $40, 42, I think, yesterday. They have a strong BD network, they have a strong VC backing, they have access to large amounts of capital, market makers, and they also have their own native application with Helix, which is actually an order book DEX that can also do perpetuals, that can also do pre-token launches. Like Tia was trading on Helix, I think, first before anywhere. So that helped. And I think now you see people, the retail people, because I think Injective was never really too much retail oriented, but I think now after the run, everyone on Twitter is talking about it, which makes it interesting for airdrops, right? So I think it's like first the pump, now the community like chasing the airdrops.
Yeah. This is what I like to call green candle marketing, like once you have green candles, like that's the best form of marketing.
I agree.
And yeah, okay. That's cool. Okay, we'll try to combine everything at the end, but let's go to the next section.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you
Okay,
like
so
about this?
this I think is an interesting category, which is this IBC everywhere category. And like I said, I think we're now at a point where Cosmos is kind of branching out of its own home.
Yeah,
And we're
sorry,
really,
let me just interrupt. I feel like we've talked about IBC, but I don't think we've defined it. Can you briefly summarize like inter-blockchain communications, just so that our
yeah,
audience
so
has like a background?
IBC, inter-blockchain communication, is basically an interoperability standard that's home to Cosmos that launched 2.5 years ago and is now connecting 70 chains. It's actually natively baked into any kind of Cosmos SDK chain out of the box. But what most chains that you see that are kind of Cosmos chains are built on the Cosmos SDK. But moving forward, I believe that we will see, and this is already happening, right? That we will see IBC compatibility to Solana, to Ethereum. Polkadot is already live actually by the team from Picasso Network. So you really see IBC branching out. And those really are the projects that are working on this. On this list here, only Picasso and Koreum are live right now in terms of their tokens. Those in the middle, they don't have tokens yet. Union actually just announced an airdrop, also for TS stakers. So this is going to be nice. Landslide Network is actually going to make IBC compatible to Avalanche. I'm pretty sure that they will also do an airdrop, maybe more for like Atom stakers. I don't think for TS stakers. But yeah, I think this also makes sense, you know, to roll out their token. So I think that's going to be a hot narrative as well. IBC everywhere. PICA is right now leading the market there. And yeah, Picasso actually is home to Polkadot or Kusama. So Picasso is actually a Kusama parachain. And they are also still going to launch their Polkadot parachain because Polkadot has this kind of canary thesis where you have Polkadot kind of the main chain and then Kusama, which is a public testnet that's actually a mainnet. So Picasso is the one on Kusama, and Composable is the one that's going to still launch. It hasn't launched yet. Their layer token, LAYR. And there will also be an airdrop. I'm 99% sure. We just haven't heard any public statements yet. But yeah, that might also be, I don't know, for PICA stakers or for their bridge users, you know, bridging from their Kusama parachain to their Cosmos chain. I don't know, speculation here, but might be also one to look into.
Awesome. Okay. Like that's definitely good to know. And I think Eclipse is I mean, we can talk about Eclipse later when we talk about, I guess, Celestia, but I think that's also combining Solana virtual machine with EVM. Oh, okay. Oh, perfect.
Celestia. I think that's going to be a big one. So I listed modularity as kind of this theme, but it's actually really Celestia, which is the narrative, because Celestia kind of pioneered this concept of modularity and data availability. So yeah, and they obviously, TIA got airdropped to Atom and OSMO stakers and to a bunch of others, also like Ethereum community and researchers. I think they had a very nice airdrop. Launching at a $2 billion valuation obviously helps for the airdrop to be big. So that was nice. And now I think you're going to see a whole kind of airdrop season on TIA itself. So I think, you know, I listed a few here, but I think we can actually go and look into the ecosystem page. Dimension just announced it, Eclipse and Movement Labs. I think those are the biggest ones. But yeah, we can look into their site.
Yeah, let's do that. And to my knowledge, this is how I kind of understand. Like, this is like how I explain Celestia, but you know, Celestia makes it easier and cheaper to launch new rollups and chains. So if all these projects use Celestia for data availability, then it's assumed that some of these projects are going to airdrop some of their supply to TS stakers because that's the kind of the Cosmos ethos, right? Let's get the token out there, let's give it to the community, build out liquidity, etc. Is that kind of like a good way to understand Celestia? Is it like a better explanation that you can share?
Yeah, I think at the core, what Celestia does, it separates the execution environment from the settlement environment. So you can combine different virtual machines with different consensus algorithms, with different flavors, so to say, right? So you have this full customization that you can do. And then what Celestia provides is data availability as a service, which just breaks down the cost to verify a state to a fragmentation of what it's currently normally at. If you would verify the state through full nodes, you can do it through this concept of light nodes that they innovated, which you can run from your phone. So this is really Celestia, and I think you're going to see wild combinations, right? I think one of them is, in fact, Eclipse. You already mentioned it. This is actually an Ethereum L2 that implements the Solana virtual machine and uses Celestia for data availability while being fully IBC compatible in Cosmos, right? So this really showcases this whole concept of modularity. They most likely will do an airdrop. I talked to Neil recently, and I tried to get out as much alpha as I could, as I always try to. But I think they're still figuring out their kind of general go-to-market and everything. But I think, you know, if you hear something like that, right, like Solana virtual machine, it might make sense to also maybe stake some Sol, right? While being in Ethereum L2, I don't know, maybe they also drop it to ETH people. And it's using Celestia. So I would assume also TIA stickers would probably be eligible, right, if there's an airdrop. So yeah, this is really the concept of Celestia. And I think Eclipse is going to be one that's going to be really, really big. Dimension is one that actually just announced that they will do an airdrop, or I think in crypto language they announced it. They just tweeted
The snapshot, the camera.
emoji,
Yeah.
exactly, camera with a flash. But we all know what that means. So yeah, might mean though that the snapshot already happened. So if you don't have any TIA staked right now, I don't know if you might be eligible for that. But yeah, that one is definitely gonna go down for TIA stakers. I also think for Atom stakers and even for OSMO. That's at least the rumors I've heard. But yeah, and then I guess it might even go deeper than that, right? So you stake Atom, you get TIA. You stake TIA, you get the DYM token, Dimension. Maybe you can stake DYM and you get, you know, any of their, I think here it's listed, any of their, I don't know.
If you click enter portal, you can kind of see the testnet, I think, of like all the rollups. They're mostly just like not real. I'll go back to the Dimension website
Okay.
and then enter portal, bottom left.
Here, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you stake DYM, maybe you get access to one of their, I think it's like 600 or 700. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
That's crazy.
TLDR for Dimension is it makes launching application like roll apps, like application chain, like app chains easier, right? So like I guess Dimension uses Celestia for DA, and then devs that want to create their own app chains can use Dimension. Is that kind of so like in
I think
theory?
so. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't like done a deep dive on Dimension, but basically what Celestia is kind of saying is that Celestia enables you to launch a chain as simple as launching a smart contract. And then I guess Dimension is launch your application as, you know, as easy as possible, which is kind of this roll app, which is an application on their roll app framework. But yeah, I haven't done a deep dive on Dimension. I just know that they were actually one of the earliest ones to use Celestia, to partner with them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about all these chains, but there's so much. So maybe we can move on. But I like the Celestia staking idea just because I feel like we're gonna just enter this multi-chain future, and it's really hard for me as a mid-curve to bet on like which chains to win.
Yeah.
So the idea of staking TIA to passively get airdrops in the coming months, years, like whatever, seems pretty attractive to me. And I think that's something that our audience should also consider. Is that kind of like a good way to view it? Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, TIA is a service, like Celestia is a service provider. And I think you're going to see a lot of native or, you know, applications and tokens or chains that use Celestia. And obviously they like airdrops in the end of the day are just mechanisms to bootstrap a community and an initial token holder base. Not necessarily there to make us rich, even though sometimes we love the big juicy ones. But you know, I think if you look around, and Celestia itself is very hot, and the valuations at which some of these projects are currently raising already kind of indicates, okay, like even if it's a small percentage Genesis airdrop, it might actually be you know, decent in dollar terms. I always have this mentality, I don't expect anything, to be honest. I don't expect a 4-figure airdrop. But if I get it, of course, I'm happy. BERA chain, in fact, is also one that I think everybody should put on their watch list. BERA chain is the next generation of EVM chains in Cosmos, and they will be used as a settlement layer here. I don't know exactly how the integration looks with Celestia, but I saw they were here, and I'm quite bullish on BERA chain in general. They innovated Polaris, and they also have a 3-token model, so they have 3 tokens. They also have a stable token, but it's definitely super interesting, and could also do an airdrop for TS stakers. Same for SAGA, right? I think SAGA is also not live yet. They launch in Q1 next year. So I would love to see SAGA and BERA dropped to TS stakers too, but we don't have
Yeah,
full confirmation yet.
got it. Okay. Like that's
Yeah,
definitely good to know. Can we go back to your doc? I think
yeah. I
I think
think I just wanted to mention
oh yeah,
one
of course.
here. Thought there was one more that I forgot to talk about. No. Oh yeah, that's the one. Hyperlane. I
Oh
thought it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
category. But yeah, Hyperlane also actually announced that they will do an airdrop or tease it. I think you also talked with one of their team members
Yeah,
recently.
John. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's also one that might be interesting. And also MANTA network. I think that one could also be interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I made a video on Manta this week. And by the way, for our audience, we're recording this on the 22nd, just so that maybe some information might be a little bit outdated, but 25th is Christmas, so we're trying to get ahead of
Yeah,
the curve here.
exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, I
okay,
think modularity Celestia is going to be big. Celestia, you're also going to see these like modular compositions.
monolithic. Yeah, yeah,
And Movement Labs, which wasn't listed yet on the Celestia ecosystem page for some reason, and maybe they just don't update it in real time. But Movement is basically also an Ethereum L2 that deploys the Move virtual machine. So if you like Aptos and Sui, you probably like them as well. And they use Celestia for data availability, and they also use the Avalanche Snowman consensus. So full modularity, and I think they actually already confirmed to make an airdrop for TI stakers. So that's also definitely one to bookmark and to start following.
got it.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have another category in Cosmos, which is the Xterra category. And
Yeah,
I think, to be honest, like Terra collapse obviously was crazy, and it affected Cosmos liquidity, dried out on osmosis, and everywhere it literally collapsed. But now we're seeing a kind of fragmentation and revival of a lot of these Xterra projects. So Kujira is doing really well. I mentioned that one already. Levana actually just had an airdrop, and I think they're gonna do another airdrop. So maybe also one to watch out for. They just launched their LVN token. I think it's at a 200 million valuation right now, fully diluted. So yeah, maybe also one to watch out for future airdrops. Mars, obviously, already live. Astroport, you mentioned. Apollo. And then Prism is also one that is yet to launch. I think they're currently in their final stages before going on mainnet. So yeah, Prism might also do an airdrop, whether it's for early users or for stakers in the Cosmos ecosystem. This I don't know, but yeah, they will definitely also do some form of airdrop.
yeah, got it. Okay. And I guess talking about farming and airdrop, like all these yields and stuff. I think the idea of farming is to just plant the seeds now and then reap the harvests later, right? If you think about like the farming lingo and whatnot. So I think everyone
Yeah,
should consider, oh, like, hey, the Cosmos ecosystem is cooking, like if you just listen to some of these podcasts that I guess teams have, like Dimension, Neutron, you notice that these devs have been working for years and they're just
yeah,
about to launch, and it seems like 2024 might be a good year. So if someone is just getting started and, like I don't even know how many minutes we're in, but they're interested in, I guess, staking Atom, staking Tia and whatnot, staking Osmo, KUJI, Injective. What do you think are best practices that one should consider in order to maximize their potential for getting airdrops. Yeah, just general
Yeah.
tips that you might have.
Yeah, so I think, I think we went through a lot and I think people might be overwhelmed. So maybe we
Yeah.
can also summarize a little bit. So which token should you consider to stake or hold at least in Cosmos, right? I think number one is still Atom. And I think that's still going to be the case moving forward in 2024. I think the second one is actually TIA, even though it just launched, but we talked through so many, rollups that are launching on Celestia. So I think staking Atom and TIA makes you eligible for a lot of airdrops. How much should you stake? How do you stake? I think when it comes to how do you stake, there's great wallets like Kepler Wallet, there's Leap Wallet. Leap Wallet, in fact, also now has an airdrop checker integrated into their wallet, which they just launched. And I think my call to action here is also to be super, super careful with airdrop claiming because there's a lot of phishing scams out there. So really be careful and go to kind of trusted sites, even though nothing is trusted on the internet. But Leap is a solid wallet. They do their due diligence, and whatever gets listed there, I think should be legit. So yeah, Atom and Tia through Kepler or Leap. Non-centralized exchange validators. So when you search for a validator, make sure it's a lower ranked validator, no 0% commissions, and also no 100% commissions. Because what most projects do when they give out an airdrop is they just exclude any centralized validators, and if you look for one, you might think like, oh yeah, I know Coinbase, I know Binance, I trust them. You most likely disqualify yourself from airdrops, just as a general rule. And then I think additionally also be active in governance. Most Cosmos chains have the governance module integrated. Celestia is actually one of the only ones that does not have it. So in Celestia, you don't have to do anything right now. But for Atom, voting governance proposals, be active there. And I think another question is how much should you stake, right? Because I think, some of you might also want to farm it. So how much should you have at least on your wallet, right? Hard to say. I think at least 11 Atom or TIA respectively. I would say to be on the safe side, more than $500 worth of those tokens. So I think in both cases, that's around 50 tokens. But 11 should be the minimum. I've seen airdrops where the requirement was literally 11, right? So yeah, I think that's the general strategy. And then I think, we talked about injective, about osmosis, about Kujira. This is kind of like also a no-brainer, in my opinion, to stake those as well with the same kind of methodology. Because I think there's going to be a lot of airdrops as well. And a bonus strategy for airdrops is going to be holding a bad kid NFT on Stargaze.
Okay.
So we literally saw just now the first airdrop given to Namada, the NUM token, that is giving out an airdrop to bad kid NFT holders. And there's only 3,000 of them. So you get a lot of tokens if you stake that. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be more than that. And also there's probably going to be a bad kid NFT token to be airdropped to NFT holders.
Interesting.
So yeah, that's kind of maybe like a bonus.
Yeah. Do you think they're like the CryptoPunks of Atom? And you can get this
100%,
on,
yeah.
was it Stargaze? Was it Stargaze, the NFT
On
marketplace?
Stargaze, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%, yeah. And I think now, like bad kids, the floor went up like 10x, I think, in the last few weeks.
Oh, wow.
Because Cosmos pumped, and then people kind of ape into, they want to join the culture, right? And I think NFTs are culture, meme coins are culture. So you see now a lot of meme coins, and you also see a lot of hype around bad kids, and bad kids really are the punks in Cosmos.
Okay.
So
It's good
that's
to
a
know.
bonus, but it's quite. I think it's 3K right now, 3,000 USD. So
Yeah, it's maybe, yeah. I mean, if you view it as the punks, it could be worth more, I suppose. But who knows?
yeah,
Nobody really knows. I think you wanted to talk about the Namada airdrop. It's time sensitive,
yeah,
right? I think there's like the claim expires on the 27th. But I think, I mean, the snapshot's already done, so you can't really do anything if you don't have it. But yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
I think what I mentioned earlier, like, is the most important, right? Like when you claim, I literally got a call from a friend, unfortunately, a few days ago, who got hacked, like wiped out his wallet, because he got into a phishing scam for airdrop claims. So my call to action really is be extremely careful. The NMATA airdrop, a lot of people are aping into it right now because it is actually modeled on the TIA airdrop. So they're pursuing the same kind of methodology and process, which means also that there's only a limited window during which you have to claim the airdrop. The chain is only going to launch in Q1, so it's still going to be a few months until you actually receive the airdrop. But you have 5 days now to claim. You check your eligibility. Atom, OSMO, and BadKit NFT holders are eligible. And also, I mentioned earlier, kind of the Leap wallet airdrop checker. That's the one here. Please, start using that as well. Bookmark this, and always cross-check the URLs, the links, because it's just so much scam out there. And the third source might be airdrops.one, which is a site that usually also keeps track of that. There's so many airdrops that you can claim soon. There's a lot of airdrops that you can actually claim right now. There's even sometimes airdrops like I have never heard about. I'm like, oh, nice, I get some free tokens, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the best places to stay up to date.
Yeah, and I just saw this morning, but like I think there's some random meme coin that took a snapshot yesterday. So chances are you just stake and you forget about it, and then you come back and who knows? There's like $4 worth of like random like shit coins or whatever. I have no idea, but yeah. Okay, like thank you, Cryptocito. That this was really helpful. And yeah, there's so many damn chains. I've been spending a lot of time recently, like trying to understand everything. But even then, I'm like, okay, like this is a little bit overwhelming. But hopefully, with interoperability, there can be, I guess, some version of like I guess account abstraction where you don't have to know which chain you're on. User experience has to improve, right? Like in order for the next wave of users to come in. Do you have any 2024 predictions about like around the Cosmos ecosystem, like that you want to share? I know they're going to be bullish, but like just I guess predictions, I suppose.
I think it's very hard to say. I think one prediction is that we will see IBC compatibility with Ethereum, which would unlock a lot of value. And we talked a lot about liquidity in the beginning of the conversation. I think that could be a big driver. I also think that, yeah, just generally, I mean, I'm super bullish on many things in Cosmos. I also think there's still challenges to overcome. But yeah, I think if I were to pick kind of the next, like my prediction, what's the next Celestia? Maybe that's an interesting prediction to make. I have 4 contenders, and I'm unsure which one of them is going to be the
Okay.
biggest one. My first one is BERA chain. We talked about it. That's the first one. The second one is SAGA. We also mentioned that earlier. SAGA is actually going to be a gaming hub in Cosmos, and gaming is something severely underexplored. And I think SAGA itself is also going to be airdropped for staking Atom, I would assume, and also for Avalanche and Polygon because they have partnerships. And then staking SAGA might make you eligible for their 300 plus games that are deployed on SAGA. So SAGA I want to bookmark. My third contender is Babylon chain. I think Babylon is going to be a big one as well because they will have they will leverage Bitcoin security for Cosmos chains and enable Bitcoin staking. And my fourth one is NMATA, actually, which is the airdrop you guys should claim right now. And that's a privacy protocol. So that's going to implement ZK proofs. And I think privacy is also going to be a big theme next year in Cosmos. So those are my 4 contenders. I think all of them have like a multi-billion-dollar energy and potential. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. I know BERA raised like $42 million, and it's like people forgot about them because they're supposed to like launch this year, but I mean, I have no idea what's going on. But I've seen Smokey DeBera like talk on, I guess, conferences and whatnot. It's coming. It's coming eventually. I know there's like Bear Chain NFTs, which might get some airdrops as well. Um, interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, like
Yeah, I think,
maybe, yeah,
BERA Chain, like I said, they raised $42 million at a $420.69 million valuation. So raising that at this valuation in a bear market is crazy. SAGA, I think they raised at a $200 million valuation the last round, and they actually just onboarded placeholder VC with Chris Berniske, who is one of the most respected, investors, I guess, in crypto. Babylon just announced an $18 million raise, the second one already. They raised a couple million before that as well. I think it was $150 million the last round. And I think Namada raised over 50 million US dollars. I
really?
think it was also
Wow.
$500 million valuation for Anoma, which is the project, and Namada is the chain. So, those are all like big raises during the 2023 kind of harsh bear market year. This is really like impressive, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they launch with billion-dollar valuations, fully diluted.
Yeah, and I think Manta Network, they raised 50 million at a $500 million valuation,
Yeah,
and I think they're launching a token in January or something. I have no idea, sometime in Q1. So yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
think the point of the video is, like Cosmos teams, Cosmos chains, they're being funded, they're building, they're launching. If they have all these
yeah.
VCs, chances are they're gonna have tokens. If they have tokens, maybe some are airdropped. So don't fade the Cosmos ecosystem.
Mhm.
And if you do fade, at least be aware of what's cooking there. Um, just look into it, I guess. Well, thank you, Cryptocito. I think this is a very educational interview slash video. Do you have any final words? I guess anything you want to leave our audience with? Yeah, anything for
No, I
Christmas?
think, yeah, I mean, happy holidays, everyone. I think also try to like um to not overdo it and not chase every airdrop, not chase every pump. Crypto can be very exhausting. I think we all also are still exhausted from this year. Um, so yeah, don't overdo it. If you chase airdrops or meme coins or anything, always remember the pain and the frustration we had in the bear market, because it was very harsh, and it's easy to fall back into the old patterns, and it's crazy to me how fast this went. Like literally within 6 weeks, people threw out their entire PTSD out of the window. It's just chasing new dog coins every single day. So yeah, I think part of it also crypto, that's what it is, right? It's a crazy wild west industry, but just be aware that you should have like a solid strategy and not chase everything that's flashing out there. But yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, people can find me on YouTube. I do a lot of videos now. That Cosmos is kind of exploding, obviously, and
Yeah.
mostly active on Twitter as well. So that's where people can find me.
Yeah, I think I was on your channel too. I think we had an interview with Altcoin Psycho, and I think one of my
Yeah.
predictions was like Evmos was gonna be a like top 50 chain or something, and unfortunately that didn't happen. Maybe Bear Chain will be the
Maybe,
Evmos,
yeah.
or
But
yeah,
also I think there's a couple of Cosmos chains. Like that's really what you said in the beginning, right? Like Cosmos is an ecosystem of builders, and in the bear market, all these projects have, they kept on building. Evmos is one of the teams that got hit extremely hard, and there was some internal drama with the founders, and one exited and sold his coins, and they didn't really caught up to their promises. But I think we're going to see some revivals, and I don't know if Evmos is going to be a top 50 coin. I don't think anytime soon, at least. But yeah, I think some of these coins are worth to look into and see, okay, what's the likelihood of this coin to potentially do a comeback, right? Because Stargaze in a similar way, like they got crashed in the bear market with price movement, price action. But I think it's one of the most bullish teams in Cosmos or in crypto, maybe even, right? So yeah, I think,
yeah,
like I say, don't fade the Cosmos.
yeah. And I think during the bear, all these chains have high inflation, so it just gets dumped to oblivion. But
Yeah,
like maybe that just leads to lower USD prices. And if you think about investing and succeeding as investors, it's looking at things when no one's paying attention. Because once everyone's paying attention, how early are you? Like if you view it in that lens. So yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot of time into the Cosmos ecosystem. Yeah, well, anyways, thank you, Mr. Cryptocito.
Yeah,
Make sure to
yeah,
subscribe to
sure.
his YouTube channel. It's the Cosmos YouTube channel. I watch almost all his videos, so look out for those. And thank you guys for watching.
Sure.
And I'll talk to you, or I'll see you another time. Bye bye.